Hi, Islamic Dad here. If you enjoy this channel, please subscribe. It does help me out a lot. Today I'm going to do a video on kind of contrasting comparison between the narcissist and the empath. In my mind, I refer to this as the dance for whatever reason. I was thinking about it. I mean, I know that by now I think everyone's noticed, if not just flat out read, that 99 times out of 100 the narcissist will pick an empath to approach and build a relationship with. And I think there's a couple of reasons for that, but before I get to that, I just wanted to first kind of go over how the narcissist is created and also the empath. So as I've said in previous videos, the narcissist typically at between the ages of say 18 months to 36 months experiences neglect or abuse or kind of what I refer to as the roller coaster between a nurturing mother and a neglectful or abusive mother, and back and forth. But that this, let's be honest, it traumatizes the infant, the toddler, to the point that they are forced to come up with a coping mechanism just for their own survival. And unfortunately, this coping mechanism, which we know as narcissism, it does allow them to survive those, infant years, toddler years, childhood years. The issue is that they, one, are stuck at that age as far as emotional maturity for the rest of their lives because they're not able to grow past that. And two, they're stuck with that coping mechanism again for the rest of their lives for the most part, and not able to drop it and be their authentic selves out in the world. The empath, it's pretty close, and that's what I realized was kind of interesting, is that again the empath, infancy, toddler, has a parent, typically a mother, who is either abusive or neglectful, or does the roller coaster where the mother switches from nurturing to abusive and neglectful and back and forth, and creates this traumatic environment where the infant, the toddler, the child doesn't know what is going on. And I'll just I'll get very personal and very honest right up front here. This is what I experienced as an infant, pre-verbal, and those memories are very hard to articulate, so I won't try to. I'll move more into, like, say, I don't know, late toddler years, childhood. But my experience was that at a very, very early age, I realized I did not know which mother I was going to get at any moment. And so if I was playing in the living room and my mother went into the kitchen, I didn't know which mother was coming back. There was a 50% chance that the mother that came back was going to be loving and nurturing and give me a snack and give me a bottle and maybe rock me, rub my head, tell me that I'm loved. And there's also a 50% chance that the mother that came back was going to rage, and she was going to scream and berate me for making a mess with my toys in the living room, or berate me for, soiling my diaper, berate me for something that may have happened in the kitchen that I had nothing to do with. And that was the environment I grew up in. And in that environment, you learn to be an empath because your life depends on it. You are in a constant state of fear, and that as you get older, they give those kind of that state fancy name where you basically live your life in a state of hypersensitivity and hypervigilance. You're hypersensitive to your surroundings, to noise, to other people's emotions, but you're also hypervigilant, and that it's almost like PTSD, where a loud noise or someone switching their moods quickly, that's like alarm bells going off. I mean, it is just, incredibly, it's an overused word, but triggering. Because at that point, your fight or flight mode goes right into effect. And everyone's looking at you like you're insane because you're ready to just bolt or fight because a car backfired, or a waiter dropped some silverware at the restaurant, or your friend got excited on the phone talking to their other friend, stuff like that. So bringing this back, so basically the great irony, and I mean, honestly, it kind of makes sense, is that one of the reasons that the narcissist approaches the empath is because they're perfect supply. That they're caring, they always see the good in people, they want to communicate, they're ready to make an emotional connection, etc. But the other part is that, and this is something that, I know I say a lot of bad stuff about my, covert narcissist ex-girlfriend, but this was something that we both, we did talk about that was good. And I'm glad that, we were able to talk about this the way we did. Where basically, one of the reasons that the narcissist and the empath get together, and that goes both ways. It's also why I think empaths connect with narcissists going the opposite direction, is because not just the narcissist, but both see the other as a kindred spirit in a very, very sad way. Because somehow, narcissists and empaths just know that they both had this horrible, horrible childhood, probably bad enough to just label it traumatic. And that at that level, they both understand each other. And that was one of the things that me and my ex-girlfriend used to talk about all the time. It's just like, the odd thing is like all these people out in the world that have healthy families and healthy childhoods, they don't get it. And like when you talk about stuff, they can't really understand it. I mean, to them, it's just noise. It's just words on paper. But if you have a narcissist and an empath, or two empaths, or, maybe two narcissists, I don't know, talking about their childhood and stuff, they'll get it. I mean, they will understand it. And I think that again, this is something that no one ever talks about for whatever reason. And I know that that in the past I've made fun of the approach to narcissism as the evil robot where it's just like, oh, I'm an evil robot and I'm going to destroy your life, and it's just like, and they're just on like on automatic mode and stuff. I think that's just stupid, and I think that, like, it's almost like this willful ignorance on the part of people trying to understand narcissism and the relationship that targets have with the narcissist, is that no one wants to admit, yeah, that narcissist who is evil now, I mean, let's be blunt, who is evil now, who is horrible, they weren't always that way. I mean, as an infant, as a toddler, they probably went through some heavy crap. And narcissists are not born, they're made. And again, that's just, it's like this weird truth that nobody wants to admit. I mean, I think it's almost like this fear, like, oh my gosh, if we say that, then everyone's going to go out and be nice to their narcissist. No, I mean, I can have, say, for my narcissistic ex-girlfriend, I can have all the sympathy in the world, which I do, for the childhood that she had that made her the way she is. But she also assaulted me, and I had to get a protection order against her. That doesn't change. I can have sympathy from a distance. I can have sympathy and still have a protection order, with the state. So I do not think that they're mutually exclusive, and I think that it's healthier to approach the subject more holistically and just be honest and be like, okay, this is what's going on here, this is what's going on here, this is this perspective, this is this perspective. But back on topic, I think it's telling that the empath and the narcissist, their childhoods might have been identical. And whereas one infant or toddler chose to build the castle, as I refer to it, put up the walls, build the false self in order to protect them, the empath chose another way, and that was to become hyper aware of their surroundings. What's going on in my nearby, what's going on with my parents, what does that tone of voice mean, what does that look in her eyes mean. And that's how they grew to handle the situation. And it's just, I don't know, it's kind of, I mean, it's sad, but it's also fascinating that you would have the exact same circumstances, and depending on how an 18-month-old infant chose to try to cope with a situation beyond their control, determined how they ended up and went off into the world for the rest of their lives. So I'm probably going to do some deeper research on this, and maybe do a follow-up video with more specifics on both, and leaning more towards delving into the empath, because I think that's something that for whatever reason just isn't done with regard to discussing narcissism, which is ironic since the vast majority of victims of narcissistic abuse are empaths. So anyways, I hope this video has been helpful. Thanks.